Hello everyone, welcome to a new video today. This is a flip-through video. I am showcasing all of my layouts from day 2 in Salzburg, Austria. So if you haven't watched day 1, go check that out on my channel. And then this is day 2. So on day 2 we did the Sound of Music tour for part of the day. So that's kind of the first half. And then you'll see just the rest of what we did that day around the city for the second half. So these are all 6x8 pocket pages. So you can see here, I bought a laser cut title that I was able to use there. And most of these have process videos, not all of them, but a good deal of them. So if you want to see how they all got put together, you certainly can for at least, probably 80% of them. So here we are visiting the gazebo that was featured in The Sound of Music for 16 going on 17, if you remember that song. There's the gazebo. And then this layout has a flip. We both decided we were going to be total tourists and take our picture just like Maria on the bus. This was our tour guide. He was fantastic, and it was a sing-along tour. So between the stops, we were singing all the songs from the musical, which was hilarious. We had such a good time. If you're ever in Austria, in Salzburg, and you want to do this, I highly recommend it. This is a 3x8 insert from Allie Edwards that I included here. This was a stop we did looking down on Lake Wolfgang, and if you've seen The Sound of Music, there is a shot in the movie where it's looking down over a lake in a little village, and there's a red onion dome as the topper to one of the buildings. This is that village. I made sure we got in some of our photos on this trip. Then we were on to the town of Mondsee, which it's pretty small, so I don't know that most people would just randomly stop there if they're visiting Austria. But this is the cathedral that was used for the wedding scene in The Sound of Music. So that's predominantly why we were there. And it was my favorite stop of the day. So I'm glad that we did it. So just some journaling here about visiting the town. This little one doesn't want to stay in. That staple keeps catching on the edge of the pocket. Very yellow, this layout. Not often you see a yellow cathedral, but they have one in Mondsee. So it had this gorgeous door on the front, and so I just decided I wanted to feature that. And then here you can see how beautifully ornate the inside of that cathedral was. It was kind of crazy how much, gold they have in there. And then I had these fun sparkly gold sequins. When I bought them, I just thought they looked cool. Didn't know what I was going to do with them. And then luckily I found a way to work them into this project. And this was just a postcard that I bought in town that happens to feature that altar. So, I got some great pictures, but I probably wouldn't get one as great as this. So I figured that was worth the money to get the postcard. Then here I just did a close-up of the part of the ceiling, and then I gathered some info that I found online and kind of rewrote it in my own words and put it in here so that I would have some of the history and the finer details about the cathedral. And I had a happily ever after die cut. Again, didn't know what I was going to do with it. Didn't have any weddings I needed to scrap at the time. It worked perfect for this since it's the wedding church. And this is one of my favorite layouts simply because of this photo. I chose to enlarge it and go a full 6x8. And it's fantastic. I love being able to see all of that beautiful detail. And then this part of the layout has a flip over here. So just some other things some details that I noticed were featured in the church. And when we were done walking around the cathedral, actually, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It is a basilica, not a cathedral, a basilica. The Pope made it a basilica in 2005. So I have to get that right. Then we had time to explore the little shops in the main area of Mondsee, which was super fun. We had a great time. And again, I found a really cool postcard that worked, so I bought that as well. And I figured out how to include it. And this has a photo flip over here. And I put these in just because I loved all of the buildings the architecture of the homes and even the colors. This was like a coral color. I just found it very interesting. It's very different from what you would see in most places in the United States. So when our tour was done, then we went back into Salzburg, and we had enough time, a few hours left before dinner, where we could walk around and do some more sightseeing. So we went to the Salzburg Cathedral. So that's what you're seeing here. And I don't believe there's a process video for some of these here in the back part. So these I just put together on my own. They kind of came together quickly, so there wasn't even time to do process videos, really. So again, here I used an enlarged photo. I did a 5x7 because the front of this cathedral was so fantastic. I wanted to make sure that it got highlighted. And then I did a similar thing here as I did for the Basilica in Mondsee, where I went online, took info from a bunch of different sources, kind of put it in my own words, and then included it in here so that I would remember some of the history of the cathedral. And one of the coolest things about it is Mozart was baptized here, and I actually have a picture of the baptismal font. It's coming up shortly. So here's part of the inside of the cathedral. It's famous for its dome, and you can see why. Let me hold this up closer. Look at the detail there. It's kind of crazy, but just stunning, absolutely stunning. So I'm really glad that we decided to make that one of our stops. There's the baptismal font. So yes, Mozart was christened in this cathedral. Then we went on to St. Peter's Abbey, and they're actually kind of kitty corner from each other. So they were really close to visit one and then visit the other as well. So this is the front, and then they are actually known for their cemetery more so than for the actual abbey or church, which is interesting. But the people who run the abbey, they take immaculate care of the grave sites. So it's quite interesting to go roam around out there and see what there is to see. And so I wrote about that here, and then I said that this particular headstone made me think of the Deathly Hallows, if you're a Harry Potter fan. So I wanted to include that in my journaling, and I did. And then interestingly, if you can see these curves back here, these are what inspired the scene in The Sound of Music where the family's hiding from the Nazis. This is where they got that. So that was very cool to see that. So here's just more of the cemetery. You can see how well kept the graves are here. That's just part of what they do there. I believe that they accept donations for that from the families and the public, and then the people at the abbey take care of the rest. That's my understanding. And then not too far from there, you can ride a funicular up to the fortress that is above the city of Salzburg. And we decided, why not? We're already there. It's close. We're going to do it. And it really wasn't that expensive. This is the actual ticket that you get. And so the pricing's on the back. I don't remember what it was, but I don't think it was more than 10 euros. I can't imagine. So we decided to do that. So our view of the city from the fortress was fantastic. Again, I highly recommend you do that. There isn't really much else to do up there, but the view, totally worth it. So there's another one overlooking the city and the river. And it was a very hot day, but it was cool up there. There was a nice breeze. So it was definitely worth stopping. Here's a look down at the funicular there. So it does go up quite a ways. You're quite a bit above the city, which is fun. So here was when we came back down. We were just walking around the city, and it's kind of hard to see here. I didn't get good close-up photos, but this fountain is one where when Maria is walking through the square with the children in The Sound of Music, there's a horse statue and she splashes with it. This is that fountain. So I wanted to make sure I got that in my layouts as well. And then really close to there, just across the square, is the Salzburg Christmas Museum. Christmas is a big deal in Salzburg, so we had already gone shopping at a Christmas store the previous day. Now we went to the museum. So I included my ticket there. And then these are just photos from inside the museum, different displays that they had. It was very well done, so if you're a Christmas person, you would like this. This is a smaller one. This is an insert with 2 3x3s. So I had photos that I thought would fit in there very well, so I included those. And then just some more displays here. Did some gold splattering on that card. It's all about the sparkle. And then just some more displays. I loved the nutcrackers that they had. I thought those were cool. And then just some different decorations that are much more European than what we see in the United States. So I found those very interesting. And then they did have a brochure. And so I just took off the front and I used it on this page. And then when we were done at the Christmas Museum, we were just kind of wandering the streets back to our hotel, and we came across this building. It's a hotel and a cafe, and I just thought the outside of it was beautiful, the lovely colors and the architectural style out front, and so I just took some photos of that to put in randomly because I enjoyed it. And then this is the last layout of Salzburg Day 2. This was our dinner. I had to actually go back and work a little bit in between sightseeing and before we went to dinner, so I went and took care of that. And then we had nothing in mind as to where we were going to eat, so we just started wandering the streets, and we found this little bistro a couple of blocks from our hotel and had one of the best meals of all of our time in Europe there. So this was fantastic. And it was just a lovely little bistro. I love the way it was decorated. We actually sat outside, but we did go in and look around at the inside as well, and I loved the decorating they did. And it was just a very cool experience. And then I paid for both of our meals, and so I kept my receipt because I wanted to include that. And then I found this online and actually just printed it out because my pictures didn't show the logo very well. So I wanted to make sure that I featured that. So that's it. Here's a little peek at some photos that I have dropped in for Vienna. Haven't started working on that yet, but I will soon. But at least now you've seen Salzburg Day 2, and I'm so glad it's done. Thanks for watching.